So welcome back. Here we're doing 8.4. We're going to multiply and divide rational expressions. Most students know what a lot of this means, but some of it we need to remember or learn if we didn't know. So most students know what multiply is, right? Times, and then divide is division symbol, right? Rational means fractions, and expressions mean no equal signs. Okay, there's going to be no equal signs, which means we can't use any of our properties of solving to do this. So we can't add to both sides and stuff. So today we're going to use, I can use GCF and factoring, which I like to use tic-tac-toe, to simplify fractions. All right, so if you don't remember what factoring is or tic-tac-toe is, it is the opposite of FOIL. So this is something that we need to know before we start. So it's the opposite of FOIL, if you remember how to do that. And how I teach it with a tic-tac-toe board is we have a tic-tac-toe board, and I'll put it right here. And then in blue we'll drop down negative 80, and x squared, and x and x. And that's how we set that up. Then we take this negative 80 and we find all the ways to get it. So negative 1 times 80, negative 2 times 40, and so on and so forth. Okay, there's a lot of them. We don't need all of them. So there's tons of them. So we only need one that's going to work. So it's going to be, let's see here, negative, what is this? So notice I just changed this number here because that wasn't going to work for us. So what we need to do is we need to pick something that's going to work. So I changed the number here so it does work. So we're going to pick negative 8 times 10. And we're going to know this is going to work because I'm going to put this number in, negative 8 times 10. That way times across. So we get negative 8x and 10x. Then we add up. We get 2x. Because, and I will highlight these in green, because those match that I've highlighted, we have the right answer. So the answer are the diagonals here. So x minus 8 and x plus 10. That's how we tic-tac-toe. Next here we need to find a GCF. So GCF is we're taking things out. So do we share x's? Do we share a variable? This is the opposite of distributing. Or do we have can we divide out a number? Can we divide out a number? Okay. So here, if you notice, I'm going to highlight that they have x's here. And I highlight the power. We're going to use the smallest power. And we're going to take it out. So we're going to take it out. Okay. So the smallest power is squared. So I'm taking 2 powers out, so I'm left with 1. And then this is going to have 2 powers taken out. So it's going to be left with no x's, but the minus 2 will come down. So if I distribute this again, I get that again. In this one, they have no x's in common, but we can actually divide by 6 on both of these. So I'm going to write it as 6 and then divide out the 6. So we get 3x minus 1. So that if I distribute again, I go back to the beginning. Finally, we can do both. So notice this one has all x's. Okay, the smallest power is a 1, so I'm going to take an x power 1 out. Notice all these numbers can be divided by 2. So I'm going to divide all these numbers by 2 first. And then I'm going to take out 1 power of x. And that's called GCF, and we're going to use that skill today. All right, so now we're ready to get started. So this is my first example we're working on today. So x squared minus 36, we can tic-tac-toe. Does everyone see this has a power of 1? So this is done. So we can't do anything with the top. The bottom here we're going to factor or use tic-tac-toe. So I'm going to draw a board. X squared, x and x. Negative 36 is going to go here, and negative 36 is negative 6 times positive 6. We're going to multiply across, add up, and get 0, which is what we need because there's nothing in the middle. So this is going to change to x plus 6 over x minus 6, x plus 6. Then if we have the same exact pair, like a binomial on top and bottom, we can cross it out. So this and this can be crossed out because they are the same. Okay? But they have to be the same exact pair. Like they have to be stuck together. So there's nothing on top, so there's a 1. X minus 6 is left on the bottom. And that's our answer. When we have things that look like this, all we're going to do is we're going to times numbers, and then we're going to add powers on each level. So 2 times 5 is 10, and then x3 and x1 make x4, and then y1 and y5 make y6. That's just going to be 25 because there's a 1 times 25. And then x1 and x2 make x3, and then y3 and y none make y3. Now we're going to simplify. Okay, so I can divide top and bottom by 5. So I'm going to do this in red. So we're going to divide by 5. So we get 2 over 5. And then here we have 4 powers and 3 powers. So those are going to cancel, and the top is bigger by 1 power. And the y's are going to be the same, so 6 and 3 are going to cancel. Y is bigger by 3. That is the answer. So basically we're just subtracting them, and then which one is bigger is where the answer goes. So if they were reversed, then that would be on bottom. And we might see that here in a bit. Okay, here we go. Example 7, we're going to tic-tac-toe a whole bunch of times and then replace them where they're at. And at the same time, we're going to just ignore this time sign in the middle. So what we're going to do is we need to tic-tac-toe everything. All right, so I have some space all around it. So we're going to tic-tac-toe this in up here. So we have x squared, negative 6, x and x. That's going to be negative 6 and positive 1. And that is the right version because we get the negative 5x. So the top left here is going to turn into x minus 6, x plus 1. This one here we've already done. We did it in example up here. So this one here we've already done up here. So it's x minus 6, x plus 6. Now I'm going to do some pretty crazy thing here. I'm just going to extend this out, and I'm going to pretend this isn't here. And I'm just going to write the next answers out. A little confusing. Hopefully you don't get lost there. So I'm going to tic-tac-toe this. So again, it's going to be x plus 6, x plus 1. So see how I just kind of kept writing it? And that's what we're going to do here. And then this one here, we're going to tic-tac-toe. And this is going to be x plus 2, x plus 1. So notice I tic-tac-toed all 4 of them. And then now we're going to cancel some stuff out. So x minus 6 is gone. X plus 6 is gone. X plus 1 and x plus 1 is gone. Notice it has to be the top and the bottom, so I couldn't cancel those. Now notice we still have some left. So what is left is the answer we're looking for, and it's that right there. So you could take a whole bunch of stuff and simplify it down to that. Now notice the most common mistake that when I see students do this is they don't understand. They just say, oh, this is an x squared, and that's an x squared, I can cancel these. Well, no, there's a minus here, so they're stuck together. So notice the difference in how these look. There is no minus and plus in the first one right here. So this is how we do it. If there are minus and pluses, we have to factor. If you do not factor, you'll get no credit. It'll be a retake. You have to factor. All right, so we're going to be dividing here. Dividing isn't that actually, it's the same stuff. So dividing, all you're going to do is you got to do keep, change, flip first. That's all. So we're going to keep the first one, change to times, and then flip the fraction. Now notice there are no pluses and minuses here, so we can actually just multiply numbers. So we're going to get 42. And then this is 5 powers, and then 1 power of y. And on the bottom, we're going to get 14 times 12, which is 168. And then we have 1 power and 1 power, so that's 2 powers of x and 5 powers of y. And then we're going to get our answer here. So we're going to simplify these. So let's see here, we can divide, I think we divide 42 out. So let's divide 42 out. So 168 divided by 42 is 4. So we're going to get 1 on top, 4 on the bottom. This is 5 powers, that's 2 powers, so there's 3 powers left on top because it's bigger. This is 1 power and this is 5 powers, so there's going to be 4 powers left on bottom. And we can do it like this because there are no pluses and minuses. Do not get way confused. Once we get pluses and minuses, we have to tic-tac-toe and factor. And then I'm actually going to add an example here because we need to show you what it looks like for GCF, and I'll show you that here in a sec because you'll see that on the SAT maybe. So I'm going to put a 1 underneath so that when I do keep, change, flip, it'll match up to what we need. Change times x squared minus 1, x squared minus 7x plus 6. Again, we're going to tic-tac-toe all this stuff. So this is going to get tic-tac-toed or factored. And when you get to high-level math, they will assume you can do this in your head. They won't even tell you. In high-level math, they'll just do it. So we're going to just, when I tic-tac-toe, we're going to get x minus 6, and not 6x, x minus 6, and x minus 4 over 1. And then we're just going to add on. So we're going to tic-tac-toe that or factor it. So we get x plus 1, x minus 1. And then we're going to do the bottom here. So this is x minus 6, x minus 1. So again, I'm just tic-tac-toeing it. If you want to know more about it, make sure you get some practice with that. So x minus 6's are going to cancel, x minus 1's are going to cancel, and what's left is x minus 4, x plus 1. And I prefer not to FOIL that out, so I'm going to keep it that the same way. That is technically my last example. I do want to cover one that does a GCF, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's do x cubed minus 9x over, let's do 6x minus 18. Okay, so we're going to make an example up because I need to do a GCF. So in the top, there's a GCF here of x. We need to take an x out. So it'll be x squared minus 9. On the bottom, there's a GCF of 6. So we can divide 6 out, so we get 6x minus 3. Then we can tic-tac-toe this up top. So we're going to get x minus 3, x plus 3, and then 6x minus 3. Then we can cancel. So we have x. What's left is the x plus 3 on top, and the 6 on bottom. And that's how we would do that one with the GCF. And you see, you know, if I was going to make an SAT question, it would be this one, most likely. So this is kind of what you're looking at for the SAT, more likely than the big long ones, because most SAT questions you need to solve quickly, and this is a pretty quick one, because the easy factoring, because there's no terms, unit's going to be the same one twice, just plus and minus, and then easy GCFs. So, well, that's what we're learning today. Hopefully you have a great day, and again, if you have any questions, let me know. Make sure you take good notes on this, so when you do have questions, I can actually show you, rather than have to rewrite the same stuff over and over again for every student. Have a great day, and we'll see you in class.